Hoi there, it's Skyward Shield, and I have to make a little update before we start our football talks. The quality of my microphone might sound different because my $55 one, it died. I have a 2-year warranty on it, thankfully, because the company is so nice. And I sent it yesterday, and it's going to I'll probably hear about it later in the week. But these podcast things are still going to go. But my Fire Emblem video, save for the one I had recorded, there's only gonna be one more, and after that, I'm gonna have to wait till the headset returns. I'm only using this so that we can keep the podcast going and not lose it for the rest of the season. So with that out of the way, it's time to welcome Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hey!
So this week, aside from the Thursday game, I enjoyed a lot. I thought it was a great week of football. There are so many injuries, though, and I think that might affect our thoughts on the standings for both sides.
On the future, these injuries are big time. Miami lost their starting running back. New England lost their starting running back, their best middle linebacker. New York Giants lost their best wide receiver.
Victor Cruz. Ugh.
Yep, Victor Cruz. He blew his
he's
ACL,
out for the
MCL.
season. He's broke his something tendon. He's out for the season.
It's like the patellar tendon.
Yeah.
The patellar tendon's like hold your kneecap in place or something like that. It's something really nasty.
Ugh.
Let me think. Those are the four that come to mind. Other ones are still nagging injuries, like Calvin Johnson. He might not play for another couple weeks. Reggie Bush might be coming back for the Lions. But overall, there's been a lot of crazy injuries this year.
Yeah. Otherwise, this would have been a better week. Well, for some, but I mean, what can you do? This happens, but for so many key players to go out, it's a bizarre coincidence.
I mean, think of all the big name stars that have left, either because of idiotic off-field transgressions like AP, or injuries like Noshan Moreno or Victor Cruz.
Wait,
It's just been
he's injured too. I thought he came back.
What, Noshan?
Yeah.
Noshan Moreno came back from a dislocated elbow, and the first game back he tore his ACL.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
I am not.
It's one injury to another. They should have put him out for another week. Just
Well,
to be
now
safe.
he's out for the season, so he really Noshan I think was kind of hurried himself back, and I was hoping that his elbow would be good. The Cleveland Browns lost their starting center for the entire year.
I heard about that.
He hurt something as well, and
The Cowboys
that
had a
might-
scare. They lost their
Cowboys
right
had-
tackle, but I don't know how long.
Probably not for super
I
long.
think
I haven't
he
heard
just
anything
got
about it.
I think he got the wind taken out of him. Otherwise, we probably would have. They would have talked about him more because everybody likes to talk about the Dallas offensive line.
And pretty soon, the number one pick will be coming back, who's been out with an injury himself, Jadeveon Clowney.
I don't know though. We don't know. I mean, we've had after Thursday night, which yes, we're gonna get the bad out of the way. So Jadeveon Clowney, he said he's hoping for this week. I want to hope in that too, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's just going to miss it by a few days. So if he doesn't come by the Steelers game, there's a good chance he'll come by next week's game. When they're on the road at Tennessee for their next divisional game. If he doesn't come
Correct.
back for that one, I can guarantee you he'll be back by the Eagles game right before the bye. Which pisses me off because I found out that both the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys in Week 9 will be on Fox at 1 p.m. And you know what that means? They're going to have to pick one over the other. And we know who is going to get picked between the two. Let's be honest here.
Well,
the
it
Dallas
depends
Cowboys.
on your It depends on your market as
This
well.
this always happens once a year, and considering I'm not in the Houston area, it's going to be Dallas.
Hmm.
This happened last year, and they picked the Cowboys, and especially because the Cowboys have a really good season right on their hands right now, so far, they're going to pick them.
Oh man.
Especially
See, I only.
and especially because it's in London that week. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's when
See, I
they
only
play
have.
the Jaguars.
Yep. Oh, that's gonna be a brutal massacre, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah, so Indy at Houston, putting 24 points at the first quarter. That's perhaps the best first quarter performance I think anyone's ever seen out of Andrew Luck.
Right.
But
T-
I think we all know who we talk about more here.
and that is
J.J. Watt.
JJ.
He got
He,
2 or 3 sacks and he picked up a fumble and returned it in for a touchdown. He did it again.
you know what they need to do with JJ Watt is have him return kicks. You just never know about that guy. He's scarily athletic for his size. And I could theoretically see him returning kicks. I mean, it won't ever happen, but it would be interesting because I think he could break them. And I think he could score touchdowns that way, and he would be the only player in NFL history to punt return, kick return, fumble return, catch a touchdown, and intercept a return. Could you imagine that? That would just be pretty crazy if you
Guaranteed
think
Hall of
about it.
Famer instantly and MVP. Like,
I
everybody's having their MVP talks. I think Watt, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to get the MVP mark above Philip Rivers and above Andrew Luck.
I'll put it this way: it's a four-man race. DeMarco, Philip Rivers, Andrew Luck, and uh, J.J. Watt. I just feel that J.J. Watt, he's gonna get overlooked if they have a subpar season. If they finish below 500 or don't make the playoffs, I don't think he's gonna be in consideration at all for the
And that's going to make me
MVP.
mad.
MVP. But
That's
what I think he would get in that case would be the defensive MVP.
Yeah, but when have we had an MVP for a defensive player? When was the last time that happened, Bill?
When was the last time? I can't remember.
It was a
Typically it's a quarterback or a
Yeah,
wide
but there
receiver.
was a defensive player, I believe, but I forget who it was.
I think it was in like the 80s, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was the 80s. Who was the greatest defender in that time? I think you said his name before.
I mean, there's a lot of great defensive players in the 80s. Derek Thomas was great. Um, oh my God, Lawrence Taylor was great.
Think of
I'm just thinking.
85
I'm just
Chicago. I think it's one of their players.
85 Chicago Bears. Ooh,
You said that was the best
there's
defense in history.
that's the best defense that anyone has ever seen. And I'll make the statement that that's probably going to be still the greatest defense that ever played or ever lived. But personally, don't I don't remember, to be honest.
Oh well.
I mean, the 85 Bears have so many great players. It's not even funny. They have like 6 Hall of Famers on that defense.
Oh well. But, I'm hoping that he somehow gets it, and if he does enough, even if they don't make the playoffs, he might still get it. You know what I mean? It's like
To be
he does
fair,
so much you can't ignore it.
I'm pretty sure that J.J. Watt would trade in all those accolades for winning a Super Bowl. That's all that should matter or
I know.
could matter.
I mean, I want the Texans to get in, but I'm thinking realistically, there's no way they're gonna get in. They need a better quarterback, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Fitzpatrick apologist, but I'm not saying he's the best either.
I'm
We do need somebody better.
I'm gonna put it this way: the only quarterback in that division right now is Andrew Luck, and it's a bunch of no-namers after that.
Yep.
It's Andrew Luck and no one else. I mean, it's easy for Andrew Luck to pick on teams with no quarterback.
And that's why it's
I, I
been.
just,
Uh,
I just wonder what'll happen when Andrew Luck has to play a team that has an actual established quarterback in his own division.
well,
Whatever that'll be.
yeah, I'm wondering that too, but it might happen next year. I mean, all I know is that they're training Tom Savage right now, and who knows when he'll be ready. I'd give it 2 or 3 years. So
To be fair, I don't even know I don't know if there's a franchise-changing quarterback in the draft coming up. So I mean, they have
he said
to
that at the
kinda,
beginning of the season that there might be one.
there might be one, but he keeps getting in trouble. Well, he's really all he's in trouble with is NCAA rules, which are archaic and old, where he's signing autographs for money, which is technically against NCAA rules, even though he's not given any money at all for people using his likeness and television broadcasts or anything. So
Yeah, it's
I mean,
the college that gets paid that.
but that's a whole nother subject. And but I mean, seriously, I think the Texans really Savage might be the way to go in the future.
Yeah, but we
I
have
think-
to wait.
I think a year or two of, you know, preparation would be perfect. Because if you look at all the really great ones, minus Luck and Manning, they've had a year or two on the bench.
Yep. I'm not sure. But I think in the
but-
meanwhile, they're going to build a better defense. We got Jadeveon Clowney, so we're just going to probably build more and get better people for the secondary.
Look at what happened with the Lions. They built on their defensive line. They built up their middle linebackers. Now they have a nasty-ass defense and a crazy offense. You get a bunch of parts on the offensive side on free agency. You build in the draft and the defensive end, and there you go. Recipe for winning.
I won't be surprised next year if a bunch of the early round picks start picking offensive linemen, because everybody needs those right now. Because a lot of teams who may have good passers just keep getting pushed in the pocket, at risk of getting sacked. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, Eli Manning, in last night's game, he was getting rushed constantly.
Exactly.
I think it was the Sunday night game. He was under assault the entire game. But I mean, in that game, the Tennessee or Houston Indy game, Andrew Luck was under duress in that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was, just sitting back there picking them apart. I just think Andrew Luck's just playing. I'll put it this way. I think Andrew Luck this year is the best quarterback in the NFL.
That's what I've been saying. That's why I have a feeling if they don't pick Watt, they're gonna pick Luck or Rivers, but I just don't know. Really, between those two, you have to see them play each other just to figure it out.
But I'll put it this way. If Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning were to play one another with both their teams, the Denver Broncos would stomp the Indianapolis Colts.
It's because of that better defense.
Better defense with the Broncos, and Peyton Manning, while he might not be the best quarterback on paper right now, he's still a Hall of Famer and an intelligent winning quarterback, and he knows how to win. And to be fair, I would classify Luck as one and then with an asterisk, because I really think Manning's tied with him.
Ugh, imagine if they had equal ranked defenses, then it would be down to the wire.
I personally think Indy and the Denver Broncos are really scary teams to look out for.
I'm still saying this. I think if the Colts will need to be lucky and not play the Broncos, and the Broncos get knocked off by somebody else, which I doubt that'll happen. If the off chance it does, because you never know,
But
this is the NFL, the
but
Colts
we'll
will
we'll
win.
save that discussion for later. But
Arian Foster had a good day though, and then Andre Johnson got his first touchdown of the season.
yep.
That was.
I
Have
I
you seen
think
that one? Caught it right in front of a defensive player, or behind.
fair,
Behind, I mean.
to be fair, I think he's still on track to get 10 touchdowns.
I think he's gonna get 8, but I'm hoping the next game. I just want every other game get Andre Johnson get him a touchdown. He needs more. I want him to stay with the Texans because, I mean,
I
by
really
the time
I
Savage
really
is ready, what
I really doubt he'll stay.
Johnson? Even if they get a winning season,
I doubt he would stay.
ah,
They might cut him, to be honest.
I'm not gonna be surprised. But it depends. Are you really gonna hope for Hopkins all the time? Johnson's got good
You
yards despite not getting a touchdown.
you keep Hopkins and then you draft another young wide receiver.
I'm not sure. I'm just, I mean, well, there's only one way to find out and wait. But I mean, once Foster retires, I mean, you got Blue. Blue can be good. He just needs to work on it on himself more. And I no doubt by the time Foster's gone, Blue will be a good replacement for him.
Right.
But until then, you just gotta keep switching Foster for him, and then Blue can make some good runs too. So I
Right.
have no doubt the offense is fine. So I'm expecting picks of offensive linemen and defensive secondaries in the coming years until Tom Savage or whoever they have to be their lead quarterback, and then you've got yourself a mean team.
Right.
Because you're still gonna have Watt. Clowney will be, hopefully, if he's still healthy, he'll be even better. But I think that's all
Right.
I can say. Because I mean, it was just a matter of that big mistake. Houston really putting up a good fight at the second, like after the first quarter, but it just wasn't enough. The gap was too hard to reach. I'm not
Right.
gonna even get mad at Randy Bullock because that field goal didn't really matter at the end of the game.
Right. It was a meaningless score.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna get mad at him for that, but I just don't know. Why do you keep missing with the Colts? Did the Colts do something to you?
Exactly.
But I mean, he's improved a lot better. He's certainly a lot better than Detroit's kicker, which we should move to that.
Oh.
I mean, I think the guy just needs to settle in more because he's
To be
for what?
to be fair, I think this will be the last kicker, even if he struggles. Personally, Matt Prater is better than Nate Freeze and Alex Henry combined. But I mean, they need to. I don't care if they have to turn on giant fans and make it a 50-mile-an-hour gust across the goalpost and have them kick into that. I don't give two craps what you do. Just make sure that he can start kicking through the uprights. That's all that matters to me. I will not suffer through another loss where some idiot gets carried off the field because we missed 4 field goals. Because that idiot wouldn't have been able to get carried off the field.
And that would have
had
been
he-
a win, or at least into overtime. Which
It would have been. Had he made all those field goals, that was an easy win. I
Yep.
mean, all the momentum switched after he missed that field goal because Alex Henry couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn with his field goal. I mean, literally, if he was kicking from 3 feet in front of that of a barn, the football would go wide right. Those were the worst kicks I've ever seen in my life. But
Prater got
the-
one kick. How far was it? 50? 40?
52 yards.
Yeah, I mean, you see, he got a 52. I think he's still a keeper. You just need to get him to quit getting rusty. You need to break off that.
The next thing, though, is that the Detroit Lions just strangled the Minnesota Vikings.
That goes to
offense.
show you don't even need to have the best offense if that defense could turn the ball over especially in good field position, you can make stuff happen. I will say, why did that guy run from the end? Like when they picked it off at the Vikings end zone, why didn't he just take a knee there and it would have been on the 20? He got stopped at the 15, I think.
Right.
There were so
That
many Vikings
just,
players over there. It's like you don't do that.
well, just how typically defensive players don't get the ball in their hands very often, so they want to try to make something happen.
Like, everybody wants to take it in for a score. Every defensive player wants to do that. I don't blame them.
But the Lions' offense made Teddy Bridgewater look horrendously bad.
He got a lot of yards, didn't he? Just no scoring except for that field goal at the end.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if you get a lot of yards against us. Who cares? It's 8 sacks and 3 picks. And tell me that Teddy Bridgewater was under duress the entire day. And just watching the game, the Vikings might have been able to get some yardage, but the Lions defense, when they needed to, they just clamped down. And when they clamped down, there's no getting away from the jaws of that defense.
Ndamukong Suh.
Suh, barely.
He got the best. Now he has the most amount of sacks in the franchise's history. 30.5.
Suh, Fairley, Johnson, Ansah, and DeAndre Levy. 5 nasty, mean, angry players. The way I like to see my team play. I've always been... I always said that I'd rather see Ndamukong Suh stomp on someone than, lay down and not care. I'd rather him throw quarterbacks around and get penalized than not care and just, give the quarterback a love tap or something. Oh, you're okay. Knock him flat on his back.
Why do you think I like J.J. Watt? He does exactly that. Though he does with the salute.
Standing up. If they're standing up, then you haven't done your job. You knock their ass down every time, and then you don't even help them up. Just keep going. Keep going. At them and smash them. That is my philosophy.
I don't think they're getting rid of Bridgewater, though. They don't have a choice.
The Minnesota Vikings, that was a third-string quarterback with a second-string running backs. I mean, their offense was anemic. But speaking of anemic offenses, my Detroit Lions, they need to step it up. If they can step up the offense and play with the same intensity that the defense is playing with right now, they would be a scary, scary, scary team.
I want to say, I was watching some of the videos of that for that week, and there was a guy making predictions for that game. They called the Lions Robinless Batman and the Vikings Harry Potter, and they said that they looked at history. It seemed like it was like 1 out of 15 for the Detroit Lions to beat the Minnesota. They beat them 1 out of 15 times in their place, which I don't know when that was. And it's like, by history, the Vikings will beat Detroit. And I just liked seeing how wrong he was. But anyway, the next part I want to say is that there were a lot of missed opportunities that Stafford did terrible at. There were some times where other players were open, but he tried to go somewhere else. And the guy said he didn't have faith in he doesn't have faith in his receivers. What do you think of that, Bill? If you see the video, you might see, because I can agree.
So, I'll put it this way: is that he left points out there. I agree, but I'll put it this way, is that the Lions offense hasn't looked like it's clicked in about 4 weeks. Ever since that Carolina game where they just didn't play really good, they just haven't looked themselves.
Yeah, and yet they're... I don't know.
They need to get back to basics. If you don't see anything downfield that you like, check it down. There's no harm in throwing it to Reggie Bush. There's no harm in throwing it to, Joique Bell. There's no harm in throwing it to Golden Tate. If Kelvin Johnson's getting double covered, don't force the ball into double coverage. Period. Just don't. There's open people other places on the field. All you gotta do is find them. I think if Stafford stays patient and takes care of the football, the offense will be in good shape.
He can't wait too long because he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL, and sometimes he takes too long, and that costs them a lot. So
the Lions' offensive line is pretty garbage. But we've had a pretty garbage offensive line for about 10 years.
Well, now that the defense looks like it's clicking, looks like next year's draft, or you make a trade, get a better offensive lineman.
They need to draft some offensive linemen.
I mean, everybody was making fun of Jerry Jones for picking those in the first round, and now look who's laughing. He is.
Dominic Raiola is not a good center. I'm sorry. I mean, he needs to have, instead of being a chippy guy on interviews, be chippy on the field. Knock your guy down. Don't just get thrown to the turf. Don't false start. Don't do stupid penalties. Just go after him. But that's about all I'm going to say about the Lions, because it's nitpicking, to be honest. The offense will get there. It's just when you don't have all your pieces constantly and you're trying to get all your pieces back and healthy at the same time, your offense is obviously not going to click.
I'm just starting to think that I'm starting to agree with the guy saying Stafford doesn't have faith in the other receivers. Do you really need Megatron? Because you still won without Megatron in the game, and I think they can do that again with the Saints.
I think he's overblowing that case, because look at what happened 2 weeks ago. Golden Tate went off for like 8 catches for 115 yards. You can't discount Minnesota's defense as being terrible.
They're not terrible.
They're not terrible. They're not good either, but they're not terrible. They're middle of the road. It's an NFL defense. Every week teams have a chance of beating you. You just got to be better than the other team. Period.
I'm just not sure if Stafford can. I'm just saying he needs to not keep that ball for too long. Because if you are the most sacked quarterback in this league, you really need to do something. I mean, sometimes there are probably open spots. He could run it in himself and at least get some yards in. I mean, it's better than making an incomplete pass or getting sacked.
He's not a running quarterback.
I know, and I think he needs to at least learn to run a little more. Maybe.
I'd rather him stay in the pocket and get sacked than him run and get hit and then him get hurt for the year.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Look at running quarterbacks. The only one that doesn't get hurt very often, Russell Wilson, because he's smart with how he runs. Stafford, if he was to run, he's never been trained to do it, so he would definitely be taking shots, and I think he would leave with an arm injury or something.
I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I never really get to see him play because they never show him. They like showing Green Bay. I don't like that.
Green Bay's overrated.
I think they shouldn't have won against Miami. Miami should have saw the fake spike coming, because, I mean, Green Bay took that page right out of Detroit when they beat the Cowboys last year.
To be fair, earlier on in the drive, Aaron Rodgers fumbled the football. If it wasn't for his offensive lineman falling on the fumble, it wouldn't have been 4th down that he could convert.
It would have been the end of the game.
That's a complaint for another time. Miami, you let me down.
Miami let me down. I woke up to see they were winning. I don't know. I think that's all we could really say for the Detroit Lions.
right?
I say they need to work more on getting that ball out there and running it more because Drake Bell did good, didn't he?
Correct.
So I mean, you got a runner now. You need to get him working. Once Bush comes
Yeah.
back, then you'll have two great runners.
Yeah.
But speaking of great runners, let's go to the best runner in the league, beating the best rush defense in the league as well. Dallas at Seattle. This was perhaps
Um.
the biggest upset of the week. Super Bowl champs losing at home to the Dallas Cowboys, who is so claimed as America's team, won an America's Game of the Week. Bill, what were your
I
thoughts on this?
I don't claim them as America's team because they're not. They're definitely not my team. My team's the Detroit Lions, so they're definitely not my team. But I mean, to be fair, I thought I really didn't feel like Seattle should have won that game, and if it weren't for Seattle's pass defense playing like garbage at a less than opportune time, and allowing Terrence Newman that 22-yard reception, or
Terrence Williams.
Terrence Williams. Why did I say Terrence Newman? I don't remember
I think you're
why.
thinking of
But,
another Dallas player,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, but, if it wasn't for that, I really think Seattle would have won. But what Dallas did was what we said that they needed to do, and that was run the football. That's how you beat Seattle. You make them run all over the field, run one way, run another way, run up the middle, pass down the middle, pass to the right, pass to the left. Just make them run. Just constantly. Get them tired. And then you hit them for the big shots. You know, they were getting gashes up the middle running the football. They were getting gashes here, gashes there. The Seahawks are a vulnerable team when you're forcing them to run all over the place. And I feel like Dallas did a good job at doing that. But I feel that Seattle still lost the game and Dallas didn't win the game. Seattle lost the game for themselves.
Hmm. What I saw was that when they did pass the ball, they were really at some opportune times. Like if everybody was afraid Sherman would have had an excellent game against Dez, but Dez was able to go jump for the ball before Sherman could ever be ready for it. And I think that was smart to do it earlier before he could be ready. And it just goes to show Sherman. I'm still unsure as to how Sherman was the best defensive player last year. I think he's slightly overrated. He's good. He's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but I honestly don't think he should have been defensive player of the year. I think he got defensive player of the year.
I mean, to be fair, the Seattle defense was one of the best of all time last year. I still think the 85 Bears are the best defense that's ever played, but the Seattle defense this year is not what it was last year. Last year, they just played with an intensity. This year, you don't see that intensity. You don't see that will to just slap someone in the face, you know? It's like, once they won that Super Bowl, all the hunger's gone. It sort of looks like a sense of complacency. In all fairness, if you ran this through a computer, the computer would have taken Dallas 99 out of 100. Seattle 99 out of 100 times over Dallas.
On paper, they've still got it. I mean, you'd think this could have played like the Super Bowl game last year, where it's a matter of who's better, the one with the best offense of this game or the one with the best defense. And they had the best rushing defense. They should have stopped DeMarco Murray, but they couldn't. This is one of those times where offense beats defense for once.
DeMarco is one of those special talents, and I'll put it this way. When you're tying Jim Brown in anything, that's a accomplishment in itself. Jim Brown's the best running back that's ever lived. So you're tying the best running back, and he quit the game when he was 30. Okay, he quit the game when he was 30. He had the most rushing yards ever in the history of the NFL when he
So
was
how
30
many
years
years
old.
did he play then?
Who? Jim Brown?
Yes.
Like 8, 9.
Oh my God.
He only. If he were to have an 18-year career, Emmitt Smith wouldn't have the rushing record right now.
Probably.
Jim Brown would be still number one all time. If you project him out, I mean, he was a different. He's a different level talent. But when you're tying him in anything, you're in some exclusive company. So 6 games of 100 yards, that's good. But can you do 7? Jim Brown only had 12 game schedules back then.
Well, let's see. The Cowboys are hosting the Giants, and I think they might make that 7th number.
I really think the Giants' defense is in bad shape. Giants' offense is in bad shape.
Especially with that loss to Victor Cruz. That's a big loss. But
yeah, but we'll do that for
the picks.
The picks.
But I will say I have to give. I mean, you might say that the Cowboys should have lost, but I think even if they did, I have to give credit to the Dallas defense. They did wonderful that day, limiting Russell Wilson, especially when they had to when the Cowboys fumbled the ball, and they were able to limit 1 point to a field goal to minimize that the fumble loss. I think it's impressive. And now Dallas is ranked 15 in defense. And they don't even have what you would consider the talent. Like, they don't have their J.J. Watts or their Richard Shermans. It's just a bunch of, you might say they're a bunch of nobodies. And yet, look at that effort that they're putting in. I have to give credit to that. I mean, we all thought they'd be the worst again, or maybe a little better.
Right.
They've really stepped up to the plate and have made some key things. And I will say, Rolando McClain did it again. They need to give this guy an extended contract because, man, he's great. I think he's great. Aside from J.J. Watt, he's my favorite player that I'm watching this year.
He's a good player. He's a good player. It's a good thing he came out of retirement to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
They needed it. They needed somebody, especially with the loss of Sean Lee. So it's good. Hell, they might. I don't know. I think he's good, just as good as Sean Lee, maybe better. But
the Dallas Cowboys raid the retirement home and come out with a gem.
Yeah, they made a good choice, and I hope they stick with it for a few more years. But
to be honest, that game, while it was rich in the storyline that Dallas defeated Seattle, I think now that happened, now that that's happened, the media attention on the Dallas Cowboys is going to be a bad thing for this team.
It's going to be worse if they beat other teams. But, I mean, we'll get to that when those teams come to town. But before we move on, I want to read you something, Bill.
Okay.
I want to read you a couple of tweets. But here's the first one. The Arizona Cardinals. Do you remember when the Falcons were playing the 49ers and the 49ers beat the Falcons? The Cardinals just tweeted, ouch. Now, they said something else about Dallas knocking off the number 1 at the time, so Cardinals can sit there alone in first place in their division. Nice win by the Dallas Cowboys today. Congrats. Did we just say that? Washing our mouth with soap.
Oh man.
It's incredible. I will say Arizona's media team is probably the best thing in the league. Best media team award, Arizona. They still don't get the best media team ever. That goes to Taco Bell because they're fucking hilarious. But
right.
I just wanted to get that out of the way. Which, speaking of the Cardinals, they beat the Washington Redskins, and now they are sitting alone on the top at 5-1 or 4?
They're 4-1.
Oh, 4-1. Oh, yeah, they had to bye, I think.
Yeah, they had an early bye. They had a week 4 bye.
Yeah, so they're on top. I think the 49ers are second.
It goes Arizona, 49ers, and Seahawks and Rams.
Yeah. But, oh well. Anyway, let's move on to America's team, the New England Patriots. Because, I mean, you're the Patriots. It doesn't get more America than that.
Exactly. And the only reason... Now, disclaimer. The only reason why we're doing this game is because I would like to say, fuck you, Jim Schwartz. You got what you deserved. I hope Tom Brady, next time he sees you, puts up 60. And I can't wait to see every other team in the NFL destroy your stupid team. So, you fucking stupid Buffalo Bills. I love the city of Buffalo, but your football team, I want to see lose every game.
Can I read you another tweet? I don't know who this guy is, but this is at Greg A. Bedard. He says, are the Patriots carrying Jim Schwartz off the field? Maybe to throw him in the trash.
Oh, man. I mean, seriously. See, this is the exact karma. Karma bites you in the ass there, Schwartz. You got carried off the field. Did you get carried off the field into the meeting room to face off against the Patriots offense that was doing amazingly well recently? Oh, did you come up with a good plan for the Patriots offense? No, you didn't. You got beat by Tom Brady, the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, and the Buffalo Bills. I feel sorry for that owner, the new owner of the Buffalo Bills, because he has to put up with your sorry ass there, Jim Schwartz. And I can't wait for the Minnesota Vikings to go into Buffalo and defeat you with their third string quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I will say I liked how the Patriots dominated from start to finish. I mean the Bills tried to catch up, but it was too much of a hill to climb.
I want the third string quarterback to throw 4 touchdown passes on the Buffalo Bills defense and all the backup running backs to score touchdowns. I am so sorry to the city of Buffalo.
It's just Jim Schwartz that pisses you off. I mean, we said this earlier, but New England's going to have trouble because they have a short week, because they have Thursday night football. They have the curse. I consider it a curse. Too short of a week to go. They're hosting the Jets, and they've lost, as we said before, Ridley and who was the other guy?
Gerard Mayo.
They've lost 2 players, and Ridley was key. He's an important player, so
both are important.
Yeah. So what? This is why some people were saying the Jets, they need to win this, but I'm not sure. I think the Patriots are just gonna sail. Because I think they do great on nighttime games. We've seen it before. They seem to do really well at nighttime than in the day. Actually, they did well to the Bills in the day, so who knows. But, yeah, the Patriots are going to have a tough time, but we're going to move on to the subject of the week. Okay, Bill, care to explain the subject for this week? Or do you want me to?
This week, basically, we're going to look at the AFC and the NFC and see what's going on, and sort of look at some trends, and see what we think about a few teams in short detail. We're not going to go crazy. We're just going to give you what we think's going on, and we're going to be starting with the AFC.
One more thing to note: we're not saying they will make the playoffs. We're just thinking of teams that have a shot at it. This doesn't mean that they have to be winning. They could be losing, like the Browns, which we're going to start with the NFC North. Or AFC North, excuse me. So, yeah, we're just thinking who has a shot and what they kind of need to do, really, but not too much of detail. So, let's go with perhaps the most interesting division in this whole league. The AFC North. Bill, state the teams. Who do we have to talk about?
All 4.
Yeah, state all 4.
All four, the Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, and Pittsburgh Steelers all have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs. In my opinion,
I agree with that opinion. They all have a shot, but who do you think has the best shot?
the best
Who has the best shot at making the playoffs guaranteed?
guaranteed, I would say the Cincinnati Bengals. I still believe that they're the most complete team. I feel that these last 2 weeks are waking them up to the fact that they kind of sleptwalked through 2 games. They got absolutely stomped by a really angry New England team, and then they fought back to tie the game and basically fought to a tie.
Yeah, no, there's
with
no
the
King of the
Panthers.
Jungle or King of the Cats for this season. Oh well.
Right,
But yeah, they look likely, but they lost AJ Green, right?
right, correct.
If you don't mind, I actually have a little story I wanted to say. This is short, but it involves Cincinnati. There's a kid in my city. I forget what he has. I think it's some type of cancer. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he wanted to go to Cincinnati to that game and meet the quarterback, Andy Dalton. There are actually pictures that I saw on the news. He actually met him, got autographs, and got to toss the football on the field with him, and he was in the stands at the game. But I mean, it was just something to note because he was from where I'm at, and I thought that was a sweet story, even if I'm not a fan of the Bengals.
Andy Dalton's a pretty cool dude.
Hmm. So yeah, that team looks likely. We said all of them, but I honestly think the surprise of this year, we all know the surprise is the Browns. I think they could potentially take the divisional spot. If not, I think they can go for a wild card. But they've got everything going their way. They've got who I think is the third best running back, Ben Tate, who's injury free. Last year he was with the Texans as the backup for Arian Foster. He did pretty well despite having broken ribs, and I think that guy is really talented, nearly as much as Foster or DeMarco Murray. In that week where they made the comeback, I think he got more yards than Murray and Foster.
Right.
So they've got some talent now, and they've got things going right. But they just need to start strong instead of having to wait for halftime to tie up the game or barely win. And I think they learned that in beating Pittsburgh. And because they beat Pittsburgh, they now have a shot, like you said. And Bill, what are your thoughts on the Ravens, since you said that they too have a shot?
The Ravens are sort of like a Jekyll and Hyde team. You just never know what sort of team you're going to get. Are you going to get the team that came out and just absolutely manhandled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Or are you going to get the team that struggled and lost to multiple teams this year?
Like the
It's
Bengals
just
and the Colts.
and it's a Jekyll and Hyde type situation. I don't think they're going to even be in the top 2 in the division. I think they're going to finish 3rd in the division, all said and done. I mean, theoretically, I could be wrong because
It's early in the season.
it's early, but I mean, they have too much of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. Their defense plays one week, and next week it struggles.
If you remember, I thought that this team would be the most inconsistent because we've seen that trend, especially coming out of last year where they did bad. And it was so many teams up for that wild card spot. I think it was San Diego, the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Ravens, and they all blew their games.
Right.
Except for the Chargers. They made it, and then they lost to the Broncos, I believe. But yes. So, potentially, 3 teams in that division could make the playoffs, but I think the wild card spots are going to be brutal, but we'll talk about those come Week 10, where we actually think who will make the playoffs, and we'll predict the division wins and the wild card wins. So, what's the next division?
I think we should probably go AFC South.
This one's easy. The Colts are going to get it. The Texans are incomplete. They know it. This is just a year to try and show that they've improved and will not be 2-14 this year, which we know they won't. They've won 3 games.
I mean, I feel that they're an 8-8 team.
I think they're going to be 8-8 or 9-7. The most
Correct.
they can go is 10, but that's they have to do some. They have to get all they have to get all the ingredients right for some of those games that they're going up
The
against.
the Tennessee Titans look like a 3-13 team, and I don't even think Jacksonville's going to get a win this
I
year.
think they're going to win their Thursday night football.
I really believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to lose every game this year.
I'm hoping so because I want the Texans to beat them twice.
I want them to be the laughing stock like the Lions were.
Yeah, I love how it changed from one cat to the next. You have to.
And a wimpier cat too.
I find it funny how there are a bunch of cats in this game and then a bunch of birds. Do we have a battle of the
Bird
birds this week? I'm curious. Yeah, we do.
and
Falcons
then
of the Ravens, but that's for the picks. Just wanted to see.
next, but obviously my division winner for this is the Indianapolis
I think it's
Colts.
everybody's, and I will say I think I'm going a little farther, but I think Indy, if things go their way, they could win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's a matter of time. It's a time bomb. You know what I mean? You can stop them now, but they're going to come back and try to win it again next year, even stronger. But we'll see.
Next, the next division I think we should focus on is the AFC East.
Who's in that team, Bill, or in that group, Bill?
I'm going New England Patriots. There's no other team in that mix.
I want to say the Patriots are going for sure. It's kind of a tradition at this point, with that 1 year
Well,
exception.
I mean, Buffalo is sitting at 3-3, but due to extraneous circumstances, I'm not going to put them in the
The
playoffs.
Dolphins have a chance, but now that they lost Sean Moreno, it's going to be even harder. And I mean, like I said, the wild card spots are going to be slow. I think those wild card spots are going to be the most intense to get a spot that I will ever see in my life.
And the New York Jets,
No,
well, they're kind of grounded.
I think
They
they
have
can be. I think
they,
they're going to be 1-15.
they have a terrible quarterback. They have an absolute terrible quarterback in Geno Smith. But
Let's go to the last AFC side.
the last AFC side is the AFC West.
And who's in that? Who are in those teams? Or in this group?
That is the San Diego Chargers, Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Oakland Raiders. And I think two teams here have a chance at making the playoffs. I mean, I'm not going to put Kansas City in. I'm going to go San Diego and Denver. San Diego's offense is just scary good,
It's
and
red hot.
and Denver Broncos offense, it's got Peyton Manning. He doesn't lose more than 4 games in a year, every year. So, I mean,
And they've got Demarius Thomas.
they got Demarius Thomas, they got Julius Thomas. Enough said.
And it's like, what do you do? Double cover them both, but then the other guys are going to be open.
Oh man.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, the Chargers have the chance of knocking them off, but that's a tall order. But you never know.
Here we go.
NFC. Let's start with North.
Yes, the North. I feel that it's gonna be a 2-team race. Detroit and Green Bay.
Detroit and Green Bay. Finally,
The best.
they're the best in their division, hands down.
Detroit's got the best defense, could have the best offense in the division, and Green Bay has a whiner at quarterback and a whiner at wide receiver, and get calls whenever they whine. So it's
I think it could potentially come down to that last game, Detroit at Green Bay, and and like I said to you earlier in this season, if Detroit wants to get in, they don't want to let it come down to the final game. You know what I mean?
true.
They need to beat everybody, even Chicago, which I think they can. If the Packers can knock off the Bears so easily at their place, and they don't have the best defense. Just imagine what happens if the best defense can actually go there, come into town.
Right.
But they need to win that and every other game, so they don't have to come down to that last game. Otherwise, Green Bay is going to really put it into overdrive.
We'll save the two hardest divisions for last. Next up is the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles,
I thought the South
Dallas
was
Cowboys,
the easiest, but okay. Let's go.
Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Washington Redskins.
The Redskins are out. They're going to have to do too much to come back, and I don't think they're going to make it. The most they could do is
Right.
upset somebody, and I hope that doesn't happen. And you know who I'm thinking of. I knock on wood.
Right.
I'm convinced that the Cowboys can beat anybody if they try. It's like what I said last year when they nearly beat the Broncos. If you could have,
Right.
if you could have beat them, you could have beat anybody in the league. But with that said, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think Dallas has the chance if they don't collapse on themselves. They've had this trend for years, and they look like they're trying to break it. They can do it, but the question is, will they? I think they
Right.
can, but if not, it's going to be the Eagles going.
I feel it's going to be the Eagles winning the division, and the Cowboys are going to finish 10-6.
Do you think they can still make the playoffs, though?
It's a possibility. I feel like they're going to collapse. It's almost inevitable with this team.
Well, this is their year to try and prove that it won't happen.
I mean, I foresee another collapse happening.
I think it's possible.
I feel like it. I feel like the cards are set up perfectly for another collapse because they're 5-1. The media's on their doorstep. Now they're thinking, "Oh yeah, we're really good," and they're going to get a team that's going to stomp them.
I think that team, the team that's going to push them to that possibility is going to be the Colts at Week 16. Out of all these games that are happening this year that we're going to pick, I think that's the game I can't even tell right now. I need to see a lot more because I think it's going to be a shootout. But we'll get to that when we get to that week.
Next, another tough division: Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay, the NFC South.
I'm going with the Panthers. The Saints are too inconsistent. They are perhaps even more inconsistent than the Steelers. And I think it's going to be the Panthers going in. The Saints, this is going to be the first year they don't make the playoffs.
I'll put it this way. I have three teams to look out for that could conceivably win the division. I'm not going to pick a division winner because it's almost a toss-up between all three. Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta, all three. I mean, theoretically, even if Tampa Bay went on a winning streak, they could get back into this division really
'Cause
fast.
everybody's lost so much.
All four defenses are pretty terrible. All four are getting outscored. Then they're getting scored. All their point differentials are negative. So this is wide open.
I say
So,
this is
I
the
mean,
least interesting division in this whole game.
all three of those teams though that I mentioned, I feel could get in.
I don't think the Falcons, just because, I mean, you lost to Chicago at your place. Come on.
I mean,
I know Chicago's not bad, but you could have beaten them. I don't know. Especially because they have they have great talent in the offense.
and the last division, the division I feel sorry for, the St. Louis Rams, Arizona Cardinals, San Fran 49ers, Seattle Seahawks, and St. Louis Rams, the NFC West.
Oh, man. This one, the Rams, if the Rams won yesterday's game, they could have had a chance, but I'm not sure now. They're in the same boat as the Buccaneers, no pun intended. But I'm going to say this one is pretty much a three-way shot for everybody. Cardinals sitting on top right now, 49ers and the Seahawks right next to them. But I think it's going to be two of these teams going to the playoffs. But all three of them have a fair shot. but I think the Cardinals just have the best, assuming they keep
Okay,
Carson Palmer healthy.
I'm not going to go three teams as well from the NFC West, and it's a toss-up right now. I can't pick a division winner out of this because I feel of the three teams here, Seattle I feel is the best all around, and I feel Arizona's right there with them, and that the 49ers are the third best team, and even then they're right there. So I'll give 3 weeks to make a definitive opinion, but I right now I'm leaning Arizona, but not heavily.
I'm leaning heavily, but it depends, really. So,
I mean, they played well with a backup quarterback, and
Carson Palmer's got it going, but he needs to keep it up and just stay healthy.
yeah, now when he's got to get game reps, and he needs to get going for the rest of the year.
Well,
and
thankfully,
he can't get hurt anymore.
thankfully he's got a good shot for an easy win next week, but that's for the picks, which we're going to talk about now. You ready for the picks,
Indeed.
Bill? We have Thursday night
Indeed.
football. Jets at the Patriots.
Yeah, Thursday night, I see Rex Ryan crying. It's going to be the Patriots defeating our man, Rexy.
They're gonna play great. I said it before, I'm saying it again. They seem to love to play at nighttime. Even though it's a short week, I think, and despite the losses, Brady's gonna get another high scoring game on his side. And well, Geno Smith gonna get pick sixed. I'm going Patriots.
Oh, man. Alright, next up, the Atlanta Falcons at the Baltimore Ravens.
Battle of the Birds. I love the Battle of the Birds. I'm going with the Ravens. That Falcons defense is absolute garbage, and the Ravens are going to capitalize on that. You have the second worst defense in the league. Yeah, we know the Ravens have this. It's going to be a one-sided affair. Even though the Falcons are going to put some points, I'm going with the Ravens.
To me, it all depends which Joe Flacco shows up. The Joe Flacco that likes throwing picks, or the Joe Flacco that went crazy against Tampa Bay. I think the Joe Flacco that went crazy against Tampa Bay is going to show up, and I think the Ravens are going to win.
Yep, and I think Steve Smith is going to get 2 touchdowns.
Next up, the Tennessee Titans against the Washington football team.
Oh my god, I don't know who to go with here. Bill, share your thoughts first. I'm sorry. I just need a second to think.
I'm going to go and pick the lesser of two really terrible quarterbacks, and I'm going to pick the better offense overall, and I'm going to pick the Washington football team.
You know, as much as I love an upset, I'm just seeing it's going to be the Washington football team taking the win. I don't know if the Titans will or will not put up a good fight, so I'm going with Washington as well.
Next up, the Seattle Seahawks at the St. Louis Rams. Poor Rams.
Oh my god, the Rams, even though they're at home, it won't matter. The Seahawks are pissed. They're not going to take that. They're not taking that loss well against the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm going Seattle. Just because they're emotional right now.
They're going to come out and they are going to dominate the St. Louis Rams like they've never been dominated before, and Seattle's going to put a whooping on them.
I'm going 40-14.
I'm going that Richard Sherman's I have like 2 picks, and someone else's I have 2 picks.
That's a lot of interceptions.
I'm not giving a score.
Wow.
But next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hoyer's gonna do well today, and that day, and he's gonna beat the Jaguars. I'm going with the Browns. They're trying to start a roll, and this is gonna be part of that roll. Like Katamari Damacy, the Jaguars are gonna get caught up in the ball.
I personally feel that the Jaguars are purposely losing. Putting together shitty teams that way they can move to LA, and but overall I say that the Browns are going to just destroy the Jags.
All right, let's go with the next game.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Indianapolis Colts.
This is a potential preview of the AFC Championship game. It can go that way. I think these two can go to the Super Bowl. And I think it's going to go into overtime. But in the end, I think the Bengals are going to take it. I'm going to go with an upset, and it's going to be the Bengals taking a win.
And I think the Bengals defense got kind of exposed, and Andrew Luck's just playing on another planet right now. So I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts because that offense looks too scary.
It's the number one offense in the league now. It is scary, and it's got the number one passing. They are scary.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings at Buffalo Bills.
Oh, man. I know you won't like this, Bill. You wouldn't like whoever I picked, really. I'm being honest here. I think the Bills are going to do well. I think Sammy Watkins is going to get a touchdown. So I'm going to go with the Bills, and this is not going to be a high-scoring game, probably 7-17. Going with Buffalo.
I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills because I love the city of Buffalo. But I hate Jim Schwartz, so I hope the kicker for the Vikings misses a kick so bad it hits Jim Schwartz in the head. Next up, the Miami Dolphins at the Chicago Bears.
Oh, the Bears beat one team. Oh, they come off a good win in Atlanta. That I think the Dolphins are going to come in guns blazing despite losing Sean Moreno, and I think the Dolphins are going to win against the Bears. I'm going Dolphins.
I'm going Dolphins. I feel the Bears' defense is pretty terrible, and I have ulterior motives for it. I just don't want to see any NFC North team win.
Yep.
Next up, New Orleans Saints at Detroit Lions.
Oh, God. Bill, I said it before, and I said it again. Drew Brees is inconsistent, or the whole team is inconsistent, especially at away games. The Lions need to capitalize. That defense needs to hit hard or go home, and they're going to hit hard, and Stafford really needs to get that ball to his receivers or let Joique Bell run the ball. Or I don't know if Bush is coming back, but if he comes back, let him run it too. The offense just needs to be too unpredictable to mess with the Saints defense, which is not that great. I'm going Lions, but they just need to be unpredictable, and that defense needs to be merciless, especially because they need to remember what the Saints did to them in the playoffs.
Easy pick for me, Lions.
What are your reasons, Bill?
Just because the New Orleans Saints, I feel that their defense couldn't stop a piece of paper flying through the airspace. So what are they gonna do against a football? I mean, geez, they haven't been able to stop anybody. They're on pace to be one of the worst defenses ever.
Maybe, but so far the Falcons are getting that. But anyway.
Next up, Carolina Panthers at Green Bay Packers.
Oh man, you see, I want to say Green Bay because this is home, and Green Bay really does well at home. But I'm gonna call an upset. This is gonna be another overtime game. Panthers are gonna win it.
And I have ulterior motives for this. I want the Panthers to stomp the Green Bay Packers because obviously I pick against all NFC North teams unless it's overwhelming that I feel that they're going to win.
Let's see. I think that might happen, but they're tied, right? The Packers and the Lions are tied for the...
Correct.
Yeah, so whoever loses this game, they will not, unless the other one loses too. It's going to be whoever's won is going to lead the division.
Next up, the 4 o'clock games: Kansas City Chiefs at San Diego Chargers.
I like this game. I'm going to like this game a lot, but I'm going to have to go with the Chargers. The Chargers are red hot, and that Chiefs defense, while I will say it's good, it's actually pretty great. in my opinion. But I just don't think the Chargers are going to get stopped by them. Once they get that ball flying, it's gonna keep flying and turn into touchdowns. I'm going with the Chargers.
Chargers, just because their offense is just scary good right now, and I feel the Chiefs' offense just can't keep up with that.
Yep.
Next up, the Arizona Cardinals at the winless Oakland Raiders.
The Cardinals are just going to soar today. They're not even at the nest, but they're gonna win. I'm going Cardinals.
The Cardinals are going to raid Oakland's raid on Oakland's parade. Literally, they're going to steal everything from their parade, and they're just going to fly away victorious.
Oh, and they're gonna steal the football that the Raiders are gonna want to bury for next week.
Oh my God, the Raiders are pretty bad this year.
I think
But
last week is their best game.
and it's probably going to be their only good game. Next up, the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys.
The Giants, they too someone was saying that they're a complete team. I think now that they lost Victor Cruz and factor in that offensive line from the Giants is terrible, I think the Cowboys are going to run over them with DeMarco Murray. But I am going to go with the Cowboys. The Giants might put a good fight at times, but it's not going to be a shutout like it was last week. But the Cowboys got this.
The Giants got embarrassed. The Giants are sitting back after getting embarrassed. Dallas has too much media attention, and I think they're going to throw way too often against this Giants defense that is weak against the pass and not rush with DeMarco really much. I think this is an upset. I think the New York Giants will defeat the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, man.
Next up, the San Fran 49ers against Denver in Denver on Sunday night.
Oh, God. Waiting all day for Sunday night. And I think this is going to be one of the best games for Sunday Night Football. Two great defenses, but I think the Broncos are going to do better. Kaepernick, compared to Peyton, is inferior, even if he can run on his own.
I mean, I would love to see Peyton Manning run for more yards than Kaepernick in this game. It would be hilarious. But I think the NFL record for most touchdown passes ever is going to be set, and it's going to be a Denver Broncos win.
Yep.
And the final game, Monday night on ESPN, the Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Bill, I want you to share your thoughts on this one first.
I feel that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is pretty terrible. Pittsburgh Steelers offense is pretty decent. The Texans offense is pretty decent, and the Texans defense is pretty good. So I'm going with the tail of the tape, and two pretty good over one decent and terrible is the Houston Texans winning the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Excellent. I'm going to be going to my mom's house or somewhere to watch this game, but I'm going to go see it, and I hope I'm going to like what I'm going to see. They're going to give Foster the ball more, and just the Texans are... I don't think they'll stomp on the Steelers. No, that's not going to happen. Not like, especially after they got embarrassed last week. I'm going with the Texans as long as they run the football and just make some good key passes to Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. I see Foster, Hopkins, and Johnson potentially getting a touchdown.
Oh man.
Alright, that's going to wrap up Week 7 of Football Talks. Well, anything else you'd like to add, Bill?
It's going to be another amazing week of football, and hopefully all the NFC North teams lose. That way my Lions are in first place all by themselves.
Well, the Lions need to win too, but I'm hoping for that. But
I have faith in this.
I've got faith in them too, as long as that Lions defense plays tough and gritty like they always have. No mercy. So, I think that's all I can really say is that Lions win. I need you to upset the Saints because I hate them. Broncos win because I hate the 49ers, and Texans beat the Steelers. Show them you've got the better D. That sounds really inappropriate. Show them you got the better defense.
La 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 la.
Anyway, that's all. We'll see you guys next week in week 8. Say goodbye, Bill.
Peace.
Alright, we'll see you guys in another video.